Okay, Steinhead here. I usually make music videos. This is kind of a rarity for me. But in any case, today I'd like to discuss the cryosphere. And it's about ice. I've always enjoyed ice and snow. Ever since I was a little kid, I enjoyed reading books about polar expeditions and the poles in general. I always liked the beauty of that pristine area of the globe. Later in my childhood, I played a lot of hockey and skated obviously on ponds and lakes, and even later than that in my life I traveled a lot to the Soviet Union and Russia, and saw pretty much all the ice and snow that I wanted. But of particular concern to me is global warming, and I'm not an expert about the cryosphere, but I figured if I wanted to learn about global warming, a nice place to start would be the poles, all three of them. Three in the sense that I would consider the Himalayas, kind of part of that. In any case, one of my favorite sites is the Cryosphere today, which is a site that was developed by the University of Illinois, and I think it's a great place to start to visualize what is going on here. I can remember, I think it was around 10 or 15 years ago, I started really feeling what I would consider climate change, and I don't consider it weather, I consider it climate change. And again, I'm not an expert, but this is just my feeling about it. I remember it was raining one time in Moscow, and that's a real rarity, okay? And that's every bit as much a rarity as it would be as if it would hit 100 in Moscow in the summer. And of course that happened for several consecutive days this past summer. In any case, I'm going to try to use my flip camera here to show you this site. There's some very, very interesting things here. First of all, we have visualizations here of the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere. This obviously is the Arctic and the Antarctic. Some of this data is really, really helpful. For example, you can check out the various basins and seas in the area. For example, if you wanted to look at the Arctic basin, which is between the Russian coast and the Canadian coast, you could certainly click that link, and you can see, for example, that the sea ice area is more or less to the mean, although you can see during the summer it wasn't doing all that well. But even though that's the case, there are many, many cases in which we're really down in the ice. For example, the sea ice area in the Greenland Sea, we're down about 100,000 square miles. And you could go on and on for yourself to see this. But what's nice about this, again, is that visualization. For example, we have Antarctica. This is a fairly recent picture. You can see this is the Antarctic summer, so it would be kind of rare to see a lot of ice around the continent. But you do see, which I believe is the Ross Ice Shelf. There were shelves here, but I think the Wilkins is the one that's now melting. A lot of these shelves on the peninsula are leaving. The amount of snow on the continent is probably increased, but not due to global cooling or anything like that. It has to do with, obviously, with moisture. In any case, this is the Antarctic summer, so it's kind of really hard to judge unless you look at data and see if I can dig some of that data up. That's northern hemisphere. Well, here's the southern hemisphere. So right now, for example, we're down about a little bit over 100,000 square miles in the southern hemisphere. If we look at the northern hemisphere, we're down about 1 million square miles. And this is, in the middle of winter, but we're down. And this doesn't even really account for the audit of the thickness of the ice. You hear sometimes in news programs about old ice and how that's very, very important for keeping the consistency of the ice pack in the Arctic. But that's a problem right now. So here are some other things of interest. For example, this is the sea ice extent for the various seasons. I'm colorblind, but I think I can tell from the symbols here. Well, you can tell from any of these seasons that the general direction is going down. This starts in the year 1900. We go through, or I guess would be World War I, World War II, and then you can see that afterwards the decline in the ice. I'm not making any connection about wars, but it's important to see what's happened in the last, I'd say, 60 years or so, and you can obviously see the continuum. And it's very, very quick melt. What else can we see? Yeah, here's a nice thing here. You can compare visual data from 1980, it's February of 80 to February of this year. Don't let this fool you. You see a lot of snowpack here on both the North American continent and through Siberia here. But that data wasn't generated in 1980. This is probably around the time the Olympic hockey team won the gold medal in Lake Placid. But you can see even here, I mean, the Sea of Greenland, there's more ice, a lot more ice here than there is here. Now, you may not be able to see from there, but if this were actually at ground zero, it would be a lot more ice here. Here's Novaya Zemlya, which is a northern island where they had all the nuclear tests, the Soviet Union. Some of these tests were on the island itself and some were in the sea. I'm not making any type of conclusion that the radioactive material in the sea is creating this melt-off, but you never know. But don't trust me on that. But it's just something to think about. In any case, I find this information very, very important because, again, I'm just a common man who's trying to piece things together, and I think one of the great things is when you can understand something that's very, very intellectual and bring it into an understandable level, then you've really done something. And I'm basically doing it for myself here. Here's another visual of the Arctic basin over the last month, and you can see how the sea ice extent is increasing, and it tends to do that until April. Although, if you ever go to this site, you'll see that in January, I mean, the Hudson Bay was not even fully frozen. So for those of you who think that we've had a really bad winter, that's true. But in terms of the entire planet, that certainly would not be the case. So, in any case, no pun intended, this is just a site that I really, really enjoy going to. I do it every day. It's a lot of fun. You have to excuse me for not putting up a music video. Perhaps I'll put music back into this video one day. But right now, I just wanted to check it out. So, see ya.